are hearing that Keith Urban, at least this is the belief of the people who are in Keith and Nicole's circle, is involved in a relationship with another woman.
His silence on Nicole Kidman's divorce from Keith Urban. Except he hasn't said a single word. And that silence, that cold, deliberate silence, is louder than any headline could ever be. Because while Nicole Kidman is filing for divorce from Keith Urban after 19 years of marriage, her first husband, Tom Cruise, remains as silent today as he was 24 years ago. No statements, no interviews, no acknowledgement she even existed. It's not just silence, it's erasure. And that's the real story. Well, but the internet is on fire right now because of a single 6-second clip. A clip from 2001 Nicole Kidman on The Late Show with David Letterman 6 months after her split from Tom. Letterman opens with, "You look fantastic. I heard you're getting divorced. How's that going?" Nicole laughs awkwardly. Then with that sharp smile of hers, she says, "Well, I can wear heels now." The audience explodes with laughter. Nicole smirks, grabs her shoe, and says, "Let's move on." Everyone laughed, but no one really heard what she said, because that wasn't a joke about footwear, it was a declaration of survival. Nicole Kidman is 5'11", Tom Cruise is 5'7", but "I can wear heels now" wasn't about height, it was about freedom, about finally taking up space again after a decade of making herself smaller for someone else. And now, that clip 24 years later is everywhere. Back in 2001, Tom Cruise filed for divorce. It shocked everyone, especially Nicole. In interviews years later, she admitted, "It was a major shock to my system. I was deeply in love. I didn't see it coming." At the time, Tom cited the usual Hollywood reason, irreconcilable differences. But what followed was stranger than anyone could have predicted. He simply never spoke of her again. Not once, not in interviews, not in memoirs, not even in passing. It was as if their 10-year marriage, their shared children, their public life had vanished into thin air. And now, 2 decades later, it's happening again. Nicole Kidman, older, wiser, beloved by the industry, is filing for divorce from Keith Urban. Same phrase, irreconcilable differences, same emotional tone, blindsided, heartbroken, fighting to save something that was already gone. And Keith, he's gone silent. No statements, no social media mentions, nothing, just absence. The eerie part? Both men disconnected before the world even knew the marriage was ending. Tom filed quietly in February 2001. Keith signed custody papers 2 months before the public announcement in 2025. Both already gone, emotionally gone, before physically walking away. When Nicole said, "I can wear heels now," she wasn't trying to be funny, she was trying to reclaim something. After 10 years with Tom, she'd been living inside his shadow and she knew it. In a 2002 Vanity Fair interview, she said, "I was willing to give up everything. I was reeling with Tom, I loved it, and I would have walked to the end of the earth. That meant giving up a lot of things that were very important to me. That's not romance, that's surrender." She gave up her independence, her voice, her visibility, all to exist beside a man who could erase her the moment he decided to. In 2006, 5 years after the split, she admitted she still loved him. "It took me a very long time to heal," she said. "He was lovely to me. I still love him." And Tom? Silence. 24 years, not a word. Except for one tiny comment in 2025 during an interview about Eyes Wide Shut. All he said was, "I suggested Nicole for the role because she's a great actress." That's it. 3 words, a great actress. After a decade of marriage, after 2 children, after everything. That's all she gets. And that's the cold brilliance of Tom Cruise's silence. It isn't neutral, it's surgical, it's erasure dressed as restraint. For Tom, silence isn't about avoiding drama, it's about rewriting the narrative entirely. When you never speak of someone, you make them disappear. You remove them from your story. You make yourself the only one who ever mattered. And that's exactly what he's done. From 2001 until today, he's lived as if Nicole never existed. In public statements, in interviews, in retrospectives, nothing. Meanwhile, Nicole has been the only one who ever looked back. She's the one who processed, who spoke, who tried to make sense of it. She once said marrying Tom felt like protection, not just from fame, but from the darker parts of Hollywood. "I married for love," she said, "but being married to a very powerful man protected me from being sexually harassed." That's the saddest truth of all. At 23, she thought protection meant safety. She didn't realize it also meant invisibility. And when that protection was taken away, she was left standing alone, trying to exist again. That I can wear heels now moment. It wasn't triumph, it was resurrection. It was her first step back into visibility. 19 years married to Keith Urban, a life that looked perfect from the outside. But as the months went on, the cracks began to show. Long separations, tour schedules, two different worlds pulling apart. By August, Keith had quietly signed a custody agreement giving Nicole the majority of parenting time. By September, she filed for divorce. And once again, silence followed. No comments, no explanations, just absence. Sound familiar? Both Tom and Keith left emotionally long before they left physically. Both chose distance over confrontation, and both left Nicole in the same place, loving someone who had already stopped showing up. When you look at it that way, Nicole hasn't been divorced twice. She's been divorced from silence twice. From men who could vanish while standing right next to her. Tom Cruise's silence will probably last forever. He'll never talk about Nicole. He'll never acknowledge that part of his life. Because to do that would mean facing it, and that's not what Tom Cruise does. But Nicole, she keeps showing up, she keeps growing, healing, learning, loving again. That's the real difference. Tom's silence might erase people from his story, but it can't erase them from theirs. So maybe this time, Nicole's not just divorcing another husband. Maybe she's divorcing the pattern, the silence, the idea that she has to disappear for someone else to shine. Because the truth is, Nicole Kidman doesn't need to be protected anymore. She doesn't need to make herself smaller. She doesn't need permission to wear heels. She just needs to stand tall and stay visible. Pause. So no, Tom Cruise hasn't broken his silence, but he doesn't need to, because after 24 years, we've learned what his silence really means. It means he's mastered the art of vanishing, and she's mastered the art of surviving. And maybe that's the difference between them. Tom's story ends in silence. Nicole's story begins with it. So what do you think? Is Tom's silence the real story here, or is it Nicole's pattern of loving men who disappear? Maybe it's both. Because sometimes silence isn't the absence of love, it's the proof that love was never safe to begin with.